This video will discuss strategies for dividing by threes. So when dividing by threes, and really any number, the most efficient strategy is to think multiplication. So in this case, I have 15 divided by 3. The most efficient strategy would be to think 3 times what is 15? Well, if I know that 3 times 5 is 15, that means that I also know that 15 divided by 3 is 5. This first number here is the dividend. This is the total. So a way to think of this problem would be I have 15 crayons. I have 3 boxes. For boxes, how many crayons would fit into each box? So this is my total in a division problem. My total, it ends up at the end of a multiplication problem. So because we have this relationship, we can think multiplication to figure out the problem. But let's say I didn't know the multiplication fact. Let's say 27 divided by 3, and I'm first going to think 3 times what is 27. Maybe I don't know or remember that fact. What are some other ways that I could figure out this problem? Well, one way is to skip count. So I could skip count how many 3s are in 27, because that's another way to think of a division problem. How many groups of 3 do we find in 27? So that would sound like this. And I'm going to keep track on my fingers. So every time I skip count, I'm putting up a finger and I'm keeping track how many groups of 3 are there. So we have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So I'm up to 5 groups of 3. 18, 21, 24, 27. So you'll see I have 9 groups of 3. So I know that 27 divided by 3 is 9. So it got me the answer, but you'll notice that kind of took a long time to do. So we can skip count to find the answer, but let's look at a more efficient strategy to solve 3s. So one way I could do this is I could use a fact that I already know. So this is really leaning on the distributive property for multiplication. I'm kind of using that a bit in order to solve this. I'm going to take 18 divided by 3 and I'm going to decompose it. I'm going to chunk it out into something that I might know to help me solve this problem. So let's say I don't know 18 divided by 3. But let's say I do know 12 divided by 3. Well, I know 12 divided by 3 is 4. So we've taken a part of this 18 divided by 3. We've taken 12 of it, and we've figured out that problem. So now I know I used 18. I had 18, and I've used 12. That means there's 6 left in my total. So now I have to think, well, what's 6 divided by 3? And I know that 6 divided by 3 is 2. So if 12 divided by 3 is 4, and 6 divided by 3 is 2, I just have to add those together to know that 18 divided by 3 is 6. So here's another model to do exactly what we just did, but thinking of it a little differently. So 21 divided by 3. Again, I'm first going to think 3 times what is 21. If I don't know that answer, I'm going to kind of decompose it. I'm going to think of a chunk of that in order to maybe help me come up with the answer. So if you think of this rectangle, this is my hole. There's 21 in this hole. I'm going to think of this as 21. I know one of my side lengths is 3, and I'm really trying to figure out this other side length. But let's say I don't know. I don't know 3 times what is 21, so I'm going to use facts that I already know. Well, I like my 5s, and I know that 15 divided by 3 is 5. But as we've said, I've had 21, I've used 15, and now I know I have 6 left. So this piece here, this unused piece, is 6 divided by 3. And I know that 6 divided by 3 is 2. So now I just have to take my quotients. I have to take this whole side length I know is 5 and 2. That means the total side length is 7. So that means that 21 divided by 3 is 7. So just to review those strategies, when you want dividing by 3, first think about the multiplication fact. So in 24 divided by 3, I'm first going to think 3 times what is 24. And if I know that fact, if I already know, well, I know 3 times 8 is 24, that means I know that 24 divided by 3 is 8. So it really pays to know your multiplication facts to help you with division. Let's say, though, I don't remember, for this next one, I don't remember 3 times what is 27. So now I'm going to use a fact I know. So in this case, let's say, you know what? I know that 12 divided by 3 is 4. So I had 27, and I've now used up 12 of that total. And when I subtract those out, I know that I have 15 remaining. So now this other part becomes 15, and I'm dividing it by 3. My divisor doesn't change. And I know 15 divided by 3 is 5. So I just take my two quotients, 5 and 4, and those add up to be 9. So I know that 27 divided by 3 is 9. Another way I could have thought of that, I could have used this fact. I know if I know 24 divided by 3 is 8, if I take 24 and I think about the relationship between 24 and 27, well, 24 plus 3 gives me 27. It's just one more group of 3. So from that, I could have figured out, well, if this is 8 groups, this is just one more group of 3, this has to be 9 groups. So I could use, again, I'm really just using facts that I already know to help me figure out the problem. So remember, when dividing by 3s, think you're going to think how many groups times 3 equals the dividend. You're going to use a fact that you already know, or you're going to skip count by 3s until you get to the dividend, knowing that this first option is the most efficient.